going to look at brute forcing authentication in Matilda. So one of the things we're going to need in order to try to brute force is a list of usernames and then also a list of passwords. We can get a generic list of usernames and passwords from FuzzDB, which has a large collection of files with different attacks and dictionaries in it. We can also try to get dictionary words offline or take dictionary words from the site itself. What we're going to do though is use the site to figure out what some of the usernames are. If we go over to the page for viewing the blogs, we're actually going to be able to figure out what the usernames in the system are just by hitting the drop down. We can see in here that the usernames are listed. If you're not sure about this, register for a new account in Matilda and put in a username, then go add a blog on the add blogs page. Come over here to the view blogs and see if it's the username that you chose is listed in this list or if it's some variation of it. So we have usernames like admin, Adrian, John, Jeremy, and Bryce, and so on. Now passwords, we could use the password lists in FuzzDB or the password lists that come with Burp Suite Pro or other password lists off the internet, such as top 200 passwords and so on. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the login page. We're going to intercept requests with Burp Suite. We need to go into Burp Suite and turn the intercept on. If you're not sure how to set up Burp Suite, there's another video on this channel that explains how to configure it. Put in a generic request, it doesn't matter, and hit login. We just want to trap the request in Burp Suite. We're going to use this tab here, Intruder. Right click, say send to Intruder. We only captured the request just so we would be able to send it over there without having to type it all in. Going to go to the Positions sub-tab under the Intruder main tab, and notice that Burp Suite has chosen all the places where we can send an input, but we know that we want to try to send input into username and password. If you weren't sure, view source on the login page and notice that that's the names of the form fields. We're going to change the attack type from sniper, which inserts lists into each position in turn, to cluster bomb, which inserts all lists into all positions. We're going to use two lists. For list 1, we're going to use the usernames. We had Ed, Jeremy, Bryce, Adrian, and so on. For password list 2, we're going to use our password list from online, but in this demonstration we're just going to put in a couple of easy passwords that are commonly used, like password 1, let me in. And then we're going to let Burp take those two lists and permutate by trying to send each one of those words in turn into the username and the password field respectively, which are represented by payload 1 and payload 2 in here. Now we notice that on the baseline request we got a 200 back. We can hit response, render, and see not logged in, but look at the 302 redirect request. Let's render that. Here we're logged in as Jeremy. Let's render the one here. We're logged in as Bryce. So at least a couple of these users have very poor passwords that we were able to bypass. Given that both of those people are security experts, you'd think that they would pick something better. So in order to get better lists, we've downloaded FuzzDB from SourceForge, and then what we can do is we can adjust the payloads by hitting the load button and then finding the lists that we downloaded. For example, this list is probably from John the Ripper. There's one labeled weak sauce and so on. Double click on John and you notice what it does is it takes all those passwords and loads them into the list. This would have run for a very long time on this version of Burp Suite because it's throttled. If you get the Pro version, it runs much faster. Also, you can use other tools like Hydra to try this type of attack. W3AF can also work in this kind of attack.